Am I convincing people that vampires exist, or am I just telling stories? Who's to say? Here's another story. The story I'm about to tell takes place in 1983, and seeing as how I was born in 1987, I cannot be implicated here. It's just a story. There was a guy named David, and David and his buddies used to drive around their neighborhood looking for people who didn't look like them. They would throw rocks out of their windows. They would walk past you and punch you randomly. They beat up people in dark alleys, all that type of shit. One day, though, they picked the wrong person to fight. This person just so happened to be a vampire. Let's call them Vic. David and his buddies attacked Vic, and that attack quickly turned into a fight for their life. As far as I was told, limbs were torn off. David was the last man standing, and as the weasel he was, he started to beg and plead for his life in ways that he shouldn't have. David knew what Vic was. Vic didn't have to tell him. He saw it. David said he would offer up his family as a sacrifice to save his own life. Vic could have just ended David right there, but Vic was a very petty and vindictive vampire, and he had all the time in the world. Vic said that he accepted David's offer, but would need that sacrifice as soon as possible. They got into David's car, which used to be occupied by him and his buddies looking for victims, and now it's occupied by David and a would-be victim. They almost didn't make it to David's house. Vic stared at David the entire ride. And as a result of the staring, David was nervous. And because he was nervous, he was sweating. And every drop of sweat smelled like food for Vic. When they got to the house, they waited in David's living room for his wife and his children to get home from school. When the wife and kids finally got home from school, the wife said to David, "What's going on here? Who's this stranger?" She obviously had no idea what was going on. David said nothing. It was as if he was just waiting for Vic to do what Vic said he came over to do. Vic looks at the wife and the children and he greets them. He says hello. Then he turns to David and asks, "You weren't even gonna say goodbye?" The wife is now scared, very unsure of what's happening. Vic then explains the entire situation to the wife. He explains who he is, what he is, and why he's there. At first, she doesn't believe him, but David's silence spoke volumes. Vic then gives the wife an ultimatum. He says, "I can either do what David thinks I'm here to do, or I can do those things to David. It's up to you." Of course, being the protective mother that she was, she chose the latter. David's last moments on this planet were painful, excruciating, and horrifying. It was fun for Vic, though. Vic remained very close with the family, so close that in 2011, when the mother and the son passed away in a car accident, Vic set up the daughter with a house in Antigua. And in 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic, when she moved back to the US, she became Vic's familiar. Not only was she Vic's familiar, but they were very good friends. They're actually still friends today, except the daughter just looks a lot older than Vic now.